Happy New Year, everybody! Welcome to the Book Refuge. Alright, so this is a weird beginning to a video, right? But this is what it's like when I do a vlog. I haven't put a vlog on the main channel since, man, did I do one for one of the readathons? I don't know, but mostly my vlogs are exclusive to my Patreon now. They have mostly been exclusive to that for almost 2 years now. I just don't vlog here very often. And the people who love my vlogs, they usually support me on Patreon. So if you end up liking this vlog, maybe you'll want to check out my Patreon. I don't know. So, couple things. We're setting this vlog up, which this is the 4th or 5th time. I keep saying 4th or 5th time. I should actually look up and see what it is. I'm pretty sure that it's the 5th time that I've done a first of the year video, my very first reads of the year type thing. So even though technically on my tracking there will be 3 books I've already read first, because that's just how my brain works. I wrapped up my month yesterday, but there was still 3 books that I finished today on the 31st, but they're going to count for January because I already did my stats for the end of the year and we're not going to add those books in after I already did all that, right? It would just mess everything up. So those 3 books that I just finished though, those were all rereads for my rereads of 2023. You know, something I do around here. So these are going to be the first like new books that I read for the year. That's what we're doing. There's all these qualifications. And then also I maybe shouldn't call this one a 24-hour reading blog. It'll just be maybe like my first reads of the year or something like that. Because tomorrow, the first of the year, I'm going to an all-day game day with my friends, so I'm probably not actually going to get too much reading done, and that's good. I really want to do this game day. I've only had 2 game days with my friends in 2023 because they all have babies and they go to bed early, and that's life, and I'm happy. I'm cool. I'm cool as a cucumber being the single Pringle, but when we can get together and play games, I'm going to do it. But I still am going to try to get through these books. That's kind of what ended up happening last year, is that I picked 4 books and I just vlogged as I read those 4. And it was actually a really great reading vlog last year. I'll link it if I remember to do that. I will remember to do that. We'll link it up here because I read 2 fantastic books during that first vlog. And what I did is I just read until I finished those 4. So this will either take me 1 or 2 or 4 days. We'll just see. But I'm planning to just read these 4 until I'm done. So what I did for this, if you were around on the 31st, I had polls available on my YouTube community page as well as my Instagram, and I left those open for 12 hours for people to vote on them. And at the end of those 12 hours, I added up the votes from both on these books. So we'll go through what they were and I'll tell you which ones won, because I gotta tell you, I was shocked by at least 2 of these that got picked. Like, did not expect that coming out of left field for me. And one of them I'm really excited about. The other one I'm nervous because I was hoping the other one would get picked because it had an audiobook. Because of these 4, only 1 has an audiobook. And that could cause some issues. So I did these polls I tried to kind of group them by like things, so you're picking between them. So the first poll was for a historical. So we had these 2. We had A Bride for the Prize Fighter, and we had Shadows and Lace by Teresa Medeiros. These are both on my January TBR, so I will still be reading both, even though the one that won was Shadows and Lace, which I was shocked by this because in the poll, this one was winning the YouTube poll by like 20-30 votes. Like, it was way ahead. But on the Instagram, these tied. Like, when I stopped the poll, these were tied. So, wait, that wouldn't have worked. That's not what happened. This one was pulling ahead on the YouTube one. I'm sorry, I just had that backwards. Duh. Which I just didn't think, because this book gets recommended to me like monthly. Someone recommends this. So much so that actually for Christmas, this was a gift this year from one of my patrons. She gifted me the whole trilogy. So I want to read these for sure. And there's also an audiobook for this trilogy, so I really wanted that. But again, this is in my January TBR, so I'm going to read it either way. Megan, who bought these for me as a gift, I have the audiobook on Anyplay. I will get to it. It just won't get read in these first like 4 days, which this one was A Marriage of Convenience. This one is an older one. Let's see when this one is. I have enjoyed greatly all of the Teresa Medeiros I have read, so much so that I bought an excessive amount of them, which is like, you can almost see right there, that whole stack from like there up is all Teresa Medeiros. But the thing is, like, none of her books have audiobooks, so it takes me a hoot and a half to get around to them. But this one, Shadows and Lace, I won't read like every detail of the back because we'll talk about them once I start reading them in this vlog. I don't want this beginning clip to be 30 minutes long. But this one, the tropes of this one is that it's Rowena's dad loses her in like a bet basically, and she's supposed to have to spend like a year with Sir Gareth of Carleon. And he wants to use her for revenge, but he starts falling for her or whatever. So that's what this one is. This will be fun though. I haven't read a historical without an audiobook that wasn't an arc in ages. Like, they're in ages. So that's why I love this kind of stuff. Like, I'm going to have to read this physically with my eyeballs, and it's going to be great. I don't know when I'll find the time to fit it in, but we will, because it's a priority. The next poll, this is one of the ones that like shocked me. I know I just said that about this first one, but honestly, that one, it was a pretty even one, by the way. Oh, I should tell you, like, this one got 110 votes. This got 128 votes. So it was very close. It was very close. So this is book one. The next poll that I did was to choose a dark romance, is how I kind of explained it. They're very different dark romance. There was The Last Ride, which this is supposed to be an MC romance. It also says it's an enemies to lovers. They're also ex-military, and it's a best friend's ex-wife is the tropes for this one. So there was that one. There is Tender Mercies. This one is on my TBR for January as well. And this one is a master-slave scenario. A consensual one, though. The heroine really wants to be in a master-slave scenario, and she ends up, like, I think it's like a billionaire or something, that she's going to agree to be his slave, but she bites off more than she can chew type of thing. I have a signed copy of this one. This was gifted to me from a different Megan than the other one, but she sent me this earlier this year. And this one, again, is on my TBR for January. Then there is Affinity for Pain by R.E. Johnson. And this is one that was sent to me from the author. Might even been last year. Let me see, when did this one come out? It might have been earlier this year. This was last year. This was sent to me in 2022. Sorry, now last year's 2023. In 2022. And I felt bad that I never got around to it yet. And so that's something I like to try to do in these vlogs, is like be pushed to read a book like this. So yeah, this one I would like. The second book is actually out, and I actually just bought the second book. It was only $4.50 for a paperback on Amazon. Crazy when that happens. So these were the three choices for the dark romance. I didn't even say, this one is like a paranormal, fated mates, enemies to lovers type thing. So I was for sure thought that like Tender Mercies was gonna win, and it got really close. It got really close. So Tender Mercies had 94 votes. Affinity for Pain had 72 votes. But The Last Ride had 100 votes. When I add these up, I was like shocked that this one squeaked it out, man. This one squeaked it out because it had more votes on Instagram. So yeah, it's very interesting to see how the crowds like vote differently. So this one's good. I wish this one had an audiobook, but this one's only 260 pages, so at least it's not like super long. This is another one that was, I forgot to say, this one was sent to me by the author too. So that's cool. So there is 2. And again, this one is already on my TBR. So this one's just going to go back on my TBR shelf for later in the month. All right, then I did a gay romance poll. Again, with 2 that are both on my TBR, which worked out nice. I have The Jock by Tal Bauer. This is a like new adult, college age. It takes place in Texas. It's a football romance, and yeah, it's a gay romance. I've actually already read The Quarterback in this series, and I fucking loved it. Okay, I love it. I loved Steph Bohrer. And this was on my December TBR, but December just got a little bit bonkers. So I just popped it over to January, and I was like, let's put this on here. The other gay romance between these two. So this one is like contemporary. This one is a dark mafia gay romance. All right. This one was sent to me by Daniela, my sweet friend, had signed copies sent to me for Christmas. And this one has actually been recommended by her and other people for years. I love mafia romance, and there's not a ton of gay mafia romance out there. There's not too much of it. So yeah, this one was a choice. So between these two, though, this one was a landslide, and I kind of thought it would be, I know, but I really want to read the Jock. This one had almost double the votes. That's the thing. And I think it's probably because people don't know what this one is. The cover is also kind of like ambiguous what it's about. But this one is also on my January TBR. So Daniela, I'll still be reading this. Also, though, this one has an audiobook, and it's on AnyPlay. So I was really hoping for this one as well. So you can see what I was trying to do. I had two different options for audiobooks, and those ones didn't get picked. But this should be a pretty quick read for me. I'm sure it will be emotional, and I'll probably cry a whole bunch. But I'm already talking too long. So this one won. This one had 152 votes. And this one had 75. So like I said, this one blew both of the polls away. And again, I kind of thought that it would. So I felt a little bad putting it up against another one, but you guys decided. So that's what we picked. All right. Now the very last one, this one is actually the bonus one. Although because of the one that got picked, it's probably not going to be a bonus anymore because this is the only one that's an audiobook out of all of mine. So it's probably going to get picked for sure because I do have some stuff to do tomorrow, and only one audiobook got picked. So this was just going to be a bonus, though. I just picked two contemporaries off of my shelf down here. So if you don't know, which, I mean, why would you? This whole shelf going this way and the stuff like behind this one, they're all books that I got from book signings, and I'm trying to work my way through those. So these were books I got in book signings in 2022 and 23. And I've only read this one and a couple of the Lena Hendricks. Most of them are not, I haven't read them yet. So I grabbed two of them. So there is Mine for Yours by Harlow Ray. What is funny though, is that both of these are dead best friends' wives. Both of them are, which is funny because I didn't even mean to do that. But in this one, they're both single parents, I believe. And I believe so in this one. Yeah. And I've only read one Harlow Ray so far, but I really liked it. So yeah, there was this one, cute sign one. I actually got both of these at the North Iowa Book Bash, which I loved. I hope to be able to go to again. And then there was Meant to Be by R.L. Kenderson. And this one is, again, like I said, it's a dead best friends love. And I think in this one, they become like friends with benefits in this one. So these were the two. And this one also, like surged ahead. Absolutely. This one crushed it. This one had 144 votes to this one had 76. But again, I was okay with it because this one has the audiobook and I have already snagged it on Audible. So like I said, I meant for the contemporary one to be a bonus book, and I'm probably for sure going to read it. So after all that yakking, these are the 4 books that I am going to be attempting to read in this vlog. So this vlog will either go until I finish them or until it's too long and we'll cap it off. But these will hopefully be some of my first reads of the year. So thank you guys all for voting on it, and I'll check back in with you once I've started something and have some stuff to say. Hello! So it's the next night already, so I'm gonna call this vlog something other than 24 hours because it's probably like the least amount of reading I've done the first day of the year in a long time. But I did do the game day today. It's 7 p.m. so I still have many reading hours ahead of me, but I haven't made too much progress because we were playing games, which again was totally worth it and I regret nothing. But I had some time when I woke up this morning, but I needed to finish my reread of my very last 6-star read. So now I will be listening to the audiobook that I have. So I started the audiobook of Mine for Yours, which I think I said it was like a dead friend's ex, I think it was, but it's actually, yeah, a dead friend's sister. I can't remember if I said that or not, but Riley owns half of the Bent Pedal, which is a bar, and these two guys owned it together. So his friend had died, and the sister owns half of it, and she's moved back to Minnesota because, yes, this is a Minnesota one. Harlow Ray, as I said, is one of the authors that I met at North Iowa Book Bash, and with a pleasant surprise, a lot of the authors like did set their books locally. Like there's some authors who, you know, they put them like where they're from. Harlow Ray does that, and so does S.J. Tilley, which makes me so happy. Hers are set in Minnesota. Her mafia books are, and so they're like the Minneapolis mob, which is great. But anyway, side note. So this one, it's a small suburb. I think it's a suburb of the cities in this one. So yeah, I just started this, and they're both our single parents. And they're starting off on a bit of like back foot because he's kind of like upset that his friend had left her like half of the place. So they're off to a bad start. So I've only on like chapter 1, but like I said, I'm going to be listening to that. It's not a super long audiobook, so I'll probably make a lot of progress on that one tonight while I am working on my bullet journal, because tomorrow morning I will film my favorites of the year. I'm so excited to do that. I'm going to film my favorites of the year video. I did start reading the ebook, though, of The Jock, because I read it when I got in bed. So I have read the first 60 pages of this, and it actually starts with an exchange program in Paris. So there's no sports being played yet, but Steph Bohrer writes such like gut-wrenching stories. So this one is Wes and Justin, and Wes is a West Texas cowboy and football player, and he's on a scholarship there. And then Justin, he also goes to that university, I believe, and they both end up doing this like 3-week long exchange program their sophomore years of college, and they're sharing a room basically. And so Justin, he is out, and he is actually really like bummed that the person who's his roommate is this cowboy from Texas, because in his experience, they're usually like, you know, uncomfortable by gay men. That is his perception anyway. Little does he know, Wes has known he's gay a very long time, but he's never had the opportunity to share it at all, because he's been around guys in locker rooms and he's been on the ranch, and so he's very much like hid his feelings. So this little trip to Paris is his opportunity to, you know, engage in the kind of love he wants for the first time. So they're only going to have this 3 weeks, but I know that that's only a small part of this book, and we'll see how it goes. It is always tough to read a book where they're like, one of them has to hide it. I very much enjoy the ones where they're having like a sexual awakening, but it doesn't have to be a secret, which is like what You and Me was. But I understand that. Like when you read same-sex couples or menages, like that is a big part of the story usually, is secrecy. It just is. There's usually a forbidden aspect, or, you know, if the person is uncertain about their sexuality, that's what you're dealing with. However, Steph Bohrer does that in such a like longing and romantic way. Like, no joke, his stories are so romantic and beautiful that I don't mind it as much. So, all right, that's all I'll do for this clip. I know I spoke so much in the beginning clip, and I haven't even read that much, but yeah, I'm going to get my stuff ready for that video, and I will listen to mine for yours. And then I have some annotating like transfers that I have to do. So once I get the video ready, I need to do that because I need to get these Patreon books out tomorrow. I am late doing it. And again, my patrons don't mind, but like I mind. I don't like being behind because it just fucks with my whole month if I get behind. So we got to do that. So anyway, check back in soon once I hopefully have like finished something so we can do that. Hey. So yeah, I still have a little bit of lipstick on there. Okay, sorry, I'm all over the place. Let me update you on what's going on today. I finished the 2 books that I'd started, so I'll give you an update on those. But I did film my favorites. I was able to finish up P.S. You're Intolerable yesterday, and I made my top 10 list, and I got that video filmed. It took an hour and 50 minutes to film. That's how long. That's how much footage I had. Even still have some makeup on. I never have makeup on during the week, so, but I wanted to look pretty in this video because I always look pretty. I know that, but wanted to look fancy because your favorites of the year video are a video that people are most likely to see if they're checking you out, you know, because they want to see what your favorite stuff is. So I wanted to make sure I looked extra sassy for it. But yeah, I just had so much to say. I was able to cut it down to 90 minutes, but it's still pretty long. And I know not everyone loves them that long, but also, I mean, my weekly wrap-ups have been up to an hour and 15 minutes, and they are my best viewed videos I have. Videos where I make them under 20 minutes always do worse. People want to see when you have a lot to say. That's kind of my brand anyway. But anyway, I'm not butthurt about it. It just took, video being 90 minutes usually takes me then, that would take me about an hour to edit. It takes about an hour to download from the app that I have, and then that one took an hour to upload to YouTube. So film for almost 2 hours, and then for like 2 hours I was editing, and then I needed to finish up 2 of my patron books. I'd already read them. Sorry, it's bugging me to look at that. So there we go. So I wanted to finish that up before I did any more reading, just because my patrons have already been so kind, giving me some extra breathing room to get their December books to them. So they're all done and ready to ship out in the morning. And then I also pulled the winners for the 20K giveaway. Wow, that's still so crazy. I have 20K on the channel. That's amazing. For the 20K giveaway, I did some stuff from my Etsy shop, and as well as I had a book that, it was a novella by Michaela Smeltzer, and I hadn't read the other books in the series. It was sent to me from PR, so I thought I would send it to someone who would appreciate it. So I had that, and I had some Etsy stuff. I also had a lot of extra Lila Junko cards, so I buy every set of her cards. I think she's fantastic. I'm so sad I didn't get a rep position this time. I'm going to try again because I love that shop. I've been buying her stuff for like 2 years now. I just love it. I just love it for my photos and for myself. But when you buy a lot of her like author sets, they have a lot of duplicates in them. And so I've just been saving up those duplicates until I could make some sets to do giveaways for. So I did 3 different sets of like 6 cards that have just, that's the thing, is they're not really like a theme or whatever. They're just ones that I have doubles of, but I know that it might make some people really happy. So I raffled those all off to the people. And then once all that was done, it was finally time to wrap up my books. So the first one I finished for it, as I did finish mine for yours, I listened to the audiobook of this one. This was a good time. I think I said about this that this is a dead brother's best friend, or dead best friend's sister, whichever way you want to say it, whichever way you choose. Sorry, my hand was getting sore. And they are co-owners of a bar now, and they're both single parents. I've probably said all of this already, I don't know, but it was just really cute. Like, most of the conflict for this one comes in the first half, where they don't really know if they can trust each other. She's kind of wary of him because he's from a very wealthy family, and she sees him as being a little stuck up, which isn't the case, but she's had some bad experiences with the elite, shall we say. That's the best way to say it. So we learn more about why that is. And then, yeah, he's been very guarded because of how he ended up as a single dad and stuff like that. I also love this because this one takes place in like a small town that I don't know if it's a real town or not, but they go to Duluth. His parents live in Duluth, so they like go to Duluth for his birthday weekend, and it just made me so happy. That's where my best friend lives. That's where Shauna lives, is in Duluth, and I'm actually planning a trip to go visit her, hopefully the end of January, the beginning of February, so very excited about that. So anyway, this was good. There isn't anything that super stands out about it, but there was some really cute things. Those two cute things being their children. Okay, so he has a girl, she has a boy, and they become best friends. They call each other girlfriend and boyfriend sometimes, which is really cute. But then, you know, they get on this and we're like, we want to be brother and sister, so you two need to get married. And they start pushing that a lot. And it was really cute, but it also was like, okay, we get it. Are you guys ever going to talk about your feelings, or are you just going to leave it to your kids to do it for you, you know? But it was sweet. I'm a sucker for the single parents, okay? Like, y'all know. So I didn't actively dislike this at all. There was kind of an irk that I had. I think it was a pretty good slow burn for their, like, sexual chemistry. Although they do end up having, like, a business partner with benefits for a little while before he's like, you know, no, you're my best friend's sister. Like, who else am I going to fall for if it's hard for me to trust people? Like, you're part of a family that I appreciate, you know, that kind of, which is really good logic, by the way. It definitely is. And then the thing that irked me, though, is that the amount of times that his 9-inch cock was mentioned was a too significant amount, okay? Like, it was funny the first time because there's like a joke made about he's gonna give her 9 inches, and I'm like, haha, whatever. Literally, they brought it up at any time one of them was horny. He's like, I'm gonna give you 9 inches. The amount of times that he said that, or she said it. It wasn't just him talking about his dick. She was doing it too. Just having kind of like rolled my eyes. I was like, really? Do we need to keep mentioning it? Because, you know, I was doing other stuff while I'm listening to this, and all of a sudden I'd hear 9-inch dick, and I'm like, what? I'm like, unnecessary, okay? Unnecessary. So I did end up giving that one 4 stars, though, because there's nothing about it that offended me, and I think if I had read it instead of listened to it, I probably would have disliked it more, but it had some narrators that I really liked. And then, to wrap this up quick, yes, I just finished The Jock. I was waiting until I finished this to talk about both of them, because I finished them pretty close together. So yeah, The Jock was just as gut-wrenching and beautiful as everything Tal Bohrer does. This destroyed me. It was so interesting to see, because I think I've shared this. I read The Quarterback first, which is about Wes's teammate Colton, and is a love story between Colton and Justin's dad, Nick. And in this one, we learn how Nick ends up in the same town as them, and we see, like, you know, why he breaks up with his wife, why he's getting divorced, and why he moves, you know, basically next door, not right next door, but almost next door to his kid. And it was really cool seeing where that point happened. I mean, obviously the romance between these two is great. Okay, like, Tal Bohrer is wonderful. He's magnificent. His stories, guys, like, they're so good. There's no other way to say it. They are wonderful. But just in speaking of, like, I think I still like The Quarterback better because it wasn't as painful as this one. Like, sometimes me and Tal just goes a little too far into, we're going to give you all the gay, sad angst that we can. And it's just like, stop. Okay, like, please stop. But he mixes it with such pure loveliness that the spoonful of sugar makes the pain go down, I guess you could say. But it was cute to see just the tiny, like, hints at how Nick and Colton, there is a little bit, not any flirting yet, but there's just, like, this interesting back and forth that they have even in this one. And, like, Colton is so great in this one. So I really want to reread The Quarterback after doing that, but maybe later on I will get to it. So yeah, this one was 5 stars. Absolutely. It's not like as high up for me as like You and Me were. So this isn't my like first 6 star of the year or something. Mostly too, because I don't want to read it again. That's the thing with like, I want to read the book again. And like, I don't want to read this one again, but I would read The Quarterback again. But this one, this baby hurt me. So those are those two. So next, I think I said this, I'm gonna take a bath now. And I think I'm going to start the Teresa Medeiros. I think I'm going to do that. I might try to find the ebook of that one, though. I know I have a physical copy, but, like, I want to be able to read it in the dark and not do that. But, yeah. So we'll start Shadows and Lace. We're going to start Shadows and Lace. And I'll check in with you when I've made some progress with that. Hey, guys. Sorry if this is a little crooked. I don't know. I have it on my tripod. My mini tripod, but I also have it plugged in, so it's kind of tipping it one way. But anyway, okay, so it's Wednesday, and this is the day that I had decided would be like the last day for this vlog, so that I can put it up by Friday, because it's gonna be Friday's video. But I am going to DNF Shadows and Lace, at least for now, probably forever, and I'm kind of pissed about it because not only am like, I want to read more of her, I don't know how well I'm going to get along with her medieval characters. And, you know, it's okay though. It's always a toss-up if I'm going to love a book that's from like the 90s or earlier. Sometimes it's totally a hit and it's fantastic. And other times, sorry, something is right. It's just really cringe. And I know this one was recommended. No, wait, this one wasn't even recommended by anyone. So, okay, I don't feel bad because I just picked it out of mine. That's right. I want to make sure I wasn't being rude about a book someone recommends. And I still don't want to be rude in case you like this one. But the two other Teresa Medeiros I read, one of them was also like medieval Scottish Highlands. And the other one was a Victorian. And I liked both of those quite a bit. But this one, there was something very charming about both of those heroes to start with. And this guy, I know he's on a revenge trip. I know he has reasons to, because in the prologue, we get a hint that he was probably being molested by his stepmother. It's said in very vague terms because it wasn't just coming out and saying what was happening. But you can infer that that was happening. So it's not like it's graphic or anything. But then it skips ahead 20 years. And now he is taking this girl as a servant for a year because her father lost a bet to him. And it says in the description that he wants revenge against her father. And I mean, I have no idea why. I don't know how that connects to maybe his past or connects to what happened to him. I have no clue. But he was supposed to owe one of his sons for a year. And the man never said that he had a daughter, but then she stumbles into the keep, like, when he's there to pick one of the sons, and he's like, oh, you have a daughter, and he realizes that taking the daughter would hurt the guy more than taking a son, and so he takes the daughter. And so we're only on the part where, like, he's taking her back to his home, and she's kind of pretending to be a boy while he does, and it has the whole thing in here where, like, these two, they've known each other, like, not even 24 hours. For part of the day, she had to walk behind his horse while she was tied to him. Then he brought her on the horse with him so they could, you know, move faster. But they got to a place to spend the night, and he's like, well, you better continue to look like a boy or else someone might come after you. And then someone does try to, like, do something to her because he goes to hook up with a lady, which he doesn't end up hooking up with her, so we're just supposed to be fine with that. But he makes her think that he's going to hook up with this woman. And then she's getting groped by somebody. And then she has to come and, like, sleep on the floor of his room so that she doesn't get assaulted. And that's, like, where we're at. So he hasn't done anything specifically horrible to her yet, but I'm just not vibing with it. And I gave it 50 pages. That's always been my rule. It doesn't happen very often anymore because I rarely pick books that I end up having to DNF, but I'm just not going to push myself through it. I don't owe anybody anything with this. And because I want to be reading stuff, I'm going to put that aside. So my other option is I do have The Last Ride. That's the last book I wanted to try to read for this. So I'm going to give it a go. Like, I'm going to try starting this one. But I did also start an audiobook while I was getting packages ready to ship this morning. And this is called Well, That Got Weird by, oh shoot, I just looked at it. well, you'll see the name of the author. Amelia something. Kingston? Is it Amelia Kingston? I just looked before I started filming and now I forgot. But this is one of the books that I got from Audible Plus. I have started checking Audible Plus more often. And I think for this one, I literally looked up, I think this one has Teddy Hamilton is the narrator. Like, I was just looking up my favorite narrators, and this one came up, and it involves a sex deal, which I really, really love that. So the heroine is like, I think she's 20, 21. She's a virgin. She wants to lose it. She's been going on all these dates trying to find someone to have sex with. It's not working. Her best friend is like, you're making it too big of a deal. You should just hire an escort. And she ends up getting some money in an inheritance from her mother who's died. And so she could use that money for an escort. Now, instead, because she feels a little too uncomfortable with, like, hiring a professional, so instead she approaches a quarterback at the college who she knows is there on scholarship. And, well, okay, there was also this, like, sex rating site, and she had like, went to it and seen the ratings people had given him. So she was looking through that. Sorry, I should say that. And he's known for not staying with any of the women. Like, he's a fuck 'em and dump 'em kind of guy. Not in a mean way, but like, he does one night stands basically, you know. And so she wants that, but he is also rated very highly for his skills. So he's one of those. So she's like, this will be perfect. It's someone that I can pay. Come on. Here we go. It's someone I can pay to do this for me. So maybe there'll be less pressure because it's just out in the open. But also, like, I'm not expecting anything more. I just want him to teach me to be good at sex. So he at first is like, this is kind of weird. Don't want to do it. But then he ends up losing his job. And so he really now needs the money because he already, like, needed money, but he didn't feel comfortable doing it. And now he lost his job. So he's like, sure, I'll do it. So I'm only on chapter 5, and they've started their, like, meetings, but she wants it to go very slowly. So I'm a little bit, like, rolling my eyes because I'm like, wow, it's going to take us the whole book for them to get to that point. But the week 1 is, like, each week is supposed to be a different base. So the first week is just kissing, then it's going to be groping, then it's going to be oral pleasure, and then they're supposed to have sex. So, like, and they're meeting 3 days a week. So it's like, I guess it's still not that many times or whatever, but we'll see. So far, it's pretty cute. She's the typical, like, nerd, never had time for boys, very self-conscious, but is actually, like, very pretty if she would dress that way. So there's a lot of tropes in it, but I love a sex deal. I love teach me stuff. So this one, you know, and it was on Audible Plus, so I like the fact that it's a pretty, like, low stakes to try it. So that's going to be my audiobook for today, because I do have some other, like, work that I could get done, but I also do want to at least attempt The Last Ride, because then I'll have at least tried the 4 books that were voted on, because even though Shadows and Lace, like, I picked that one and then you guys, like, voted for it, I could have read The Bride for the Prize Fighter, which is on my TBR for this month as well, and think I'll like it more. But either way, we'll give this one a go because this one isn't too long either. So we'll see. We'll see. I've never tried this author either, so this would count as a new to me author for the year. So I will do a clip maybe at the end of the day today then, and hopefully that will then, like, wrap this vlog up for you guys. So either way, whatever gets read, we'll check in one more time and we'll see if I ended up getting through 4 books or just the 2 of them. So we shall see. Hey guys, so it's time to wrap up this vlog. I did end up finishing the last book, but I didn't feel like talking about it last night because it just wasn't that great for me. It just wasn't. And I'm kind of sad about it because it has a lot of things that I love, but I feel like it did it in, honestly, some of the worst ways possible. And that just always feels like such a disappointment when it's like, we had so much potential and then where it went, right? So let's talk about that real quick, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about what's going on behind me and wrap up this vlog. So I finished The Last Ride by Anya Summers, which says it's a steamy enemies to lovers motorcycle romance. Now, honestly, I feel like almost everything in that is a lie. Because why these people are enemies, I couldn't tell you. I mean, I'll tell you what the book says, but it's ridiculous. And then it says a motorcycle romance, but it's Seals on Wheels, right? It's these Navy SEALs. And they're not a motorcycle club. I mean, I guess that's not what a motorcycle romance has to mean. But they literally just ride their motorcycles when they're not, oops, come on. When they're not on duty, you know? Sorry, I'm watching Annie Elise up here, and I didn't want to turn it off because I'm going to go right back to it. So don't mind that. Maybe we'll move it down. That's a crime show. Anyway. So it's not really that. And the enemies to lovers is literally the thinnest possible reason why it's an enemies to lovers. Because, so, okay. I can't remember what I've said about this one by now. I know I've said it by now. Like, it is, Ben is our hero. Our heroine, her name is Mariah or Moira. I think it's Mariah, might be Moira. I don't know. And she is the ex-girlfriend of a Navy SEAL who has killed himself, okay? He killed himself, and this book begins at his funeral where the rest of his team is there. And then when they go back to have, like, a dinner together and commiserate, the head of their squad, which they're SEAL Team 8, by the way, if you know things about SEAL teams, which I know a tiny bit, they're SEAL Team 8, and they're on leave for like 30 days or whatever, so they have some time, and they open this box that was left behind by the man who unalived himself, and it has all these letters in it. It has like 6 letters in it, and they're asked to deliver them in person to the people on this list and make sure they read them, because some of them might not want to read the letters. So they decide to go on a bike ride to do this, since they, as I said, have 30 days before their next mission they're supposed to do. So, which also, like with SEALs, you don't usually know how many days it's going to be all the time. But anyway, again, well, sometimes they do, so we won't pull at them or anything. But the first person on the list is Mariah, and this is someone that Evan, the man who unalived himself, he had dated her quite a few years ago, and she was the one that he like wanted to marry, apparently. We'll get around to that. And he proposed to her, and she turned him down. And Ben specifically, who is Evan's best friend within the group, he blames Mariah that the reason Evan started his downward spiral eventually was because she turned him down. She was the love of his life, and she turned him down. So he has some like anger, and he blames her for this. And when they bring the letter there, and she's not in a rush to read it, because she's like, we've been broken up for how many years now? I'm not going to just jump to read this. I'm not ready to hear words from this man. Like, I'm grieving kind of in my own way too. Just because we didn't get married didn't mean I didn't care about him. And then we also find out in her POV, which, by the way, another thing, not great just about how this author like did this. There's no POV change, even though this is a first-person POV book. The chapters don't tell me who's who. So I hate when books do that. Like, I'm for real. I hate when books do that. Yeah, if you're going to change POVs and you're in first person, you must tell me, because always the first few sentences of the book, I have no idea whose POV it is, and it's just annoying to have to recalibrate every time. Anyway, that's the least of the issues of this book for me. So, Ben kind of makes it known that he, like, blames her, and Mariah's like, what do you even know about our relationship? And I was like, I know he loved you, and you turned him down, and then he was never the same afterwards. And she's like, you don't know what our relationship was. And again, we find out from her POV that he wasn't faithful to her the entire time they were together. And so when he proposed, she was like, no, like, I cared about him, but I wasn't going to marry someone who couldn't keep it in his pants. He was always cheating on her, and like, she was a little more okay with that when it was dating. And then honestly, he ended up marrying someone else. So one of the other books in the series, I guess, is going to be about his actual, like, an ex-wife, because he did marry someone eventually. Evan would still come to town and fuck Mariah after they were broken up and he was married to someone else. So that's not making her a perfect woman. Like, she knew he was married and she's like, well, he used to cheat on me, so I will. Like, we don't focus on that too much. And I'm not blaming her either. I mean, he's the one who could have been a stand-up guy and they liked fucking, so they would. But she didn't want to marry him, and somehow that's like, she was the bad woman for this. And again, I don't fully like Mariah or anything. It's not like I'm like, screw you, Ben. But what pissed me off, and this pisses me off more than just this book, is that, I mean, I think I've talked about enough. Like, I have a heart for the military. I respect them so much. And veterans and active duty service members, they have like the highest rate of unaliving of anyone, right? And in this group of, I think there's like 8 of them, that's 6 or 8 of them, the probability that one of them would unalive themselves is very high, because I don't have the statistics, I'm not going to say it, but it's a very like high percentage of veterans and ex-servicemen who unalive themselves. So for Ben, who is in that world and knows that, to blame this unaliving on Mariah, which he doesn't do for the whole time. I know, he realizes he's being a jackass, but the fact that that even comes out of his mouth, that that's even something he thinks about, that he's going to blame Mariah, who broke up with Evan years ago, for unaliving himself, I just thought was a horrible taste. I thought that if he had that kind of animosity, like, we could have shared it in a different way, because what it did is it gave me a dislike of him from the jump, and he never recovered from it. I ended up skimming quite a bit in the last half of this one, because then the story goes in a different way. They're trying to convince her to read this letter. They end up staying at her house for a couple days. She puts them up for a couple days before they're gonna move to the next house, but she like won't read the letter, and they're supposed to stay and watch her read it, and she's like, I'm not gonna be on a dead man's timeline. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just not. He's never gonna know if I didn't read this right this minute. I'm not ready. But when they are about to move on, because they're like, you know what, she's kind of right, we're not going to force him, there is some danger now that's happening to her. There is a stalker. They discover bugs in her house. So now the story like pivots to like a romantic suspense, and the other guys move on, but Ben stays. Ben stays and is like, I'm going to find out who's stalking you. And she's like, okay, fine. And I won't fully spoil this one, because I'm not gonna, but the person who was stalking her didn't have like anything to do with this, and it was very strange, and yeah, honestly, yeah, it just wasn't great. So I'm sad that I ended my reading vlog like this, but it happens sometimes. It started out very strong, like this was a 5-star book, this was a 4-star book, and it was really fun. It was a little wacky, like I said, with the 9-inch dick being mentioned every couple minutes, but like these were great. I'm sad that I DNF'd a Teresa Medeiros. I will not give up on her by any means. I just might stay out of her medievals because this was a bit much for me. And this one, well, I finished it. I can check it off a box of books that were sent to me. This also is a new to me author technically, so I can write that on my tracker for the year, but we'll end it there. So one last little thing I was going to say, I'm waiting. So today's Thursday. This vlog will hopefully go up tomorrow. I'm getting a new bookshelf today. I'm so excited. It's supposed to be delivered. So when you order something big from Amazon, they give you an email that's like, it's going to be delivered between this time. You need to be there. And it's always a really big like window or whatever. But it's funny because the first one was like, it'll be there between 9:30 and noon. And I'm like, my UPS guy never comes between 9:30 and noon. And sure enough, this morning, it was updated to say it'll be between 1 and 3. And I'm like, yeah, that's when my guy comes. But the big bookshelf in the corner was the last one I replaced. And that took me like 3 hours to set it up. But it is a like corner one. So the one I'm getting here is just, well, I'll put a picture in. The one I'm getting here is this one, which matches what that one looks like, which is what I want to do for these other ones that I have. Is they won't be corner ones, but they'll be the same colors and style, and I'm going to start replacing these. I may get another corner bookshelf eventually for my bedroom, because potentially that size bookshelf could fit all the books in my bedroom, because they're all mostly paperbacks like this. It could fit all of them, and then I could actually free up some space in my bedroom, because I have 3 bookshelves in there. Well, 2 of them have mass market paperbacks, and one of them has a few of like regular indie books, but I think I could fit all of my mass market paperbacks in that corner, and then I could like change stuff up in my room a little bit. I've never, like, I don't have like any space in my one bedroom because it's like I have a chest, I have my bed, I have 2 shelves here and 1 here, and so there's like no space in there. So it would be cool. Something I really want is I want like a cute little reading chair or something. Like, for real, I want to get like a comfy beanbag chair or a you know, one of those that you can like sit in there where I could have quiet time or whatever, because I just don't have a lot of places to do that. So anyway, slowly, because, you know, I actually did do like a payment plan for the bookshelves just because I wanted some joy in my life, but I also didn't want to pay for them like all at once. But if you are interested, I'll just put it out there. If you're interested in sponsoring some bookshelves, I do have a link to my Ko-fi down below, and I started a new goal on it that is to go towards bookshelves. So you can check that out if you're interested. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to put it out there. But you can set goals on Ko-fi, which is usually a thing like buy me a coffee, but it's basically sending money to my PayPal. And I usually do use it towards like coffee, but you can set a goal for something, and I set it towards bookshelves. So if you want to help sponsor some pretty bookshelves, go check that out. So thanks so much for watching this vlog. To wrap this all up here, as I have said, normally my vlogs are Patreon exclusive, and I put up, it averages 3 to 4 a month. There's usually 3 vlogs and the 1 exclusive review. That's usually how it works out. But sometimes there's more, it just depends. So yeah, there's going to be, like, this vlog will be one of only a couple that go on the regular channel. But if you like hanging out with me, talking about books, I usually talk a lot of behind the scenes stuff too. Like, not just what I'm reading, but what's going on in the business and how I'm holding up and everything. I do that on the Patreon. So you can check that out if you want to support me there. Definitely can always use more support to keep it going. So thank you so much for watching, friends. I hope you're having a wonderful beginning to 2024. Let me know the first book you read in 2024. So mine, of course, was the rereads I was doing, but we're going to call it The Jock. The Jock is like going to be the oafish one that I say, because it was the first new book that I read of 2024. So have a wonderful day, my friends. See you later.